Hello, I'm FGX again, and welcome back to an episode of my Minecraft Xbox Updated Adventures Let's Play. This is the Let's Play where I'm playing through the various updates that have come out for Minecraft on the Xbox, building stuff, killing stuff, and of course, destroying stuff. And in today's episode, I'm actually going to be doing some fairly productive work to help prepare the map for its eventual marketplace release. If you don't know, I decided to push it back a little bit, just to again, I want to make sure there's a few touches around here that'll make it slightly more appreciable, because there's stuff like creeper explosions all around the place. There's a lot of just different things where I'm like, as well as all the other things which I want to, be doing in that time, the fun survival projects, I also want to make sure that, simple stuff like this is also fixed, so that if you want to enjoy the world just as a nice kind of 360 into Xbox One into Bedrock survival experience, then that should also be possible. So yeah, basically, because we're going to be doing a lot of fixing stuff and a lot of kind of key stuff that I've been putting off for a while today, I figured I would talk about one of the big topics of the year, and that, because now the end of 2018 is upon us, the something of 2018 videos will be coming soon, including one of my favorites, the worst suggestions of the year. It's one of my favorite series to do every year because every year I'm, I end up being a little bit more shocked with it. So looking forward to that one too. But yeah, it's the off the year kind of time of the year, which seems like a ridiculous thing to say, but it makes sense. You all understand me, and I figured why not talk about why 2019 will be a better year than 2018, and not just for me personally, because I'm hoping my goal is that every year, ideally, I mean this is maybe a crazy opinion, but ideally every year should be better than the last one. That would be a really nice world to live in. But I think in general it's a thing that's definitely can't be true for everyone individually. Obviously, just the way that good and bad things works. Some of you watching this right now are gonna have worse years. I might even have my worst year yet. Something horrific could happen to me, and that's that sounds like it's a negativity. That sounds like it's a bad thing on the surface. But honestly, I think overall the truth is that the world is getting better every year, and you might not hear that. One of the things that I really am a big believer of, one of the big, I guess let's call it, movements that I do really believe that more people should know and believe in and share about and whatever, and that honestly, when it comes down to it, is the basic idea of the world is getting better. A lot of times people try to convince you it's not getting better. It used to be that oh yeah, there was one half of the world that was trying to convince you the world was worse, one half would convince you it's better, and some years you believe the worst people, some years you believe the better people. But no, the truth is the world is still getting significantly better by pretty much any metric you can imagine. It's very hard to find a metric where humans are doing really, really bad as a species, because we are killing it. Global happiness tends to be up every year. Global wealth tends to be up every year. Global disease tends to be down every single year. There's a lot of diseases we're wiping out within the next century. Bill Gates, whenever he's going around doing important stuff, it seems oh wow, he's trying to eliminate this disease. He does a pretty good job. We have a lot of the most deadly killing diseases we wiped out for the last 100 years, and it's just a thing, well, mostly, because technically wiping out certain things requires making sure it never comes back, and that's not ever fully possible. But still, we've gone to the stage where there's a lot of stuff that used to be a real concern for most people, and now it's just not, and that is crazy to me, the number of different factors that humanity is doing well on. And I wanted to get the message out there because, a lot of, I think in particular, news, real life news, it all depends on oh yeah, we need to convince you this is bad, and even the way our current system is run is always oh, this is bad, and we need to do this to make it good again, because doing things to make something better, involves more risk, especially the better off people get, the less risk in some case they're willing to take. So what if it's oh no, everything's broken, and this is the only way we can fix it? It's an interesting thing, and yeah, just fun fact, 2018 is going to be so much better, and here's the wild thing, even than that, I would say, potentially, you could maybe argue that 2018 is not going to be as good of a year for improvement as 2019 will be as good a year for improvement as 2018. But the crazy thing is, even if we have a drastically awful year, we're still doing great under pretty much any metric imaginable. So there you go. There's a fun fact to start you off with. Even if you look at the truly, I think I see a lot of people truly fearful of something as bad as I don't know, look at our climate change, look at anything like that. Even when you look at those metrics, it's oh yeah, well, I mean, in terms of the global plan, in terms of what the end result is, it's still not so horrific given its almost horrific issues. So anyway, there you go. With that said, I wanted to move on from that one and just really quickly say 2019 as a whole is going to be a lot better, and I think that for the species as a collective, if you care about humanity as a species, it's weird because you don't really see people being on a humanist movement, being yeah, I'm I'm just a human, I'm just that. That's what I feel like. Everyone's always well, I'm a lawyer first, then I'm a someone who lives in insert this place here, and then I'm someone who thinks this, and then I'm someone who likes to build in Minecraft, and then I'm a human. But it's kind of cool that if you want to pick it, how in the real world, there are some people who are called like bandwagon hoppers because they pick a sports team and they follow it because it's successful. I kind of like that. If you want to be like the bandwagoner, I think is the term. But like like for a really successful thing, pick humanity. Humanity is crazy successful. You should bet everything on humanity because odds are it'll go quite well for you. So the second thing we're doing here, by the way, is this sky bridge is kind of been made redundant because we've kind of improved it. And basically, what I wanted to do here is kind of like make it less redundant, or at least make it look like it's finished and then just not used as opposed to redundant. Because redundant is sad, whereas not used is like, well, I mean, it's always there if you want to use it, right? That's a whole different thing. So anyway, yeah, I feel like I went off on a big rant about how 2019 is going to be great, but it is. And I feel like, if you're personally scared about 2019, statistically speaking, you're going to be part of the majority, not everyone, not even 99% of people, but that will do better in some way. And even if not, it's time to lay the great seeds for 2020 because, every year can be better than the last one. I guess we ran out of wood here, but every year can be better than the last one, and that sounds unbelievable, but it's actually fairly believable once you really dive into it. And it's also a reminder of constant. It's sometimes really easy to get trapped in the belief that where you are right now is how you'll remain forever. Let's link Minecraft, the thing we're playing, wow, did you know we're playing Minecraft back here, into the thing we're talking about, because right now we're working on this sky bridge. It's a mostly obsolete project, it doesn't need to exist anymore. It's mostly a thing that's here just because, it used to be the fastest way around my world, back when my world was smaller, and back when there were less options to travel around Minecraft. I fly everywhere now, for instance, but it used to be the best thing ever, and if I was to guess, all those years ago, so, how will I be getting around the world from this castle to, that world to there, and it'd be like, oh yeah, of course I take the sky minecarts. I even worked out, the minecart there's a lot of these different things. If you haven't seen the minecart elevator, it looks even weirder on Bedrock, so we'll have to go back and show you, but, there's all these different things, and all those years ago, I would have said, yeah, of course, this is, are we still below? We are. Yeah, of course this is going to be the thing that just is the thing that we do forever when it comes to Minecraft playing. But then there was two version switches. It was 360 to 1 to Bedrock. Like I said, this is 3 separate world gens, 3 separate everything else that have kind of combined into this big thing, and that is a fascinating little difference between what I anticipated and what I expected. And part of the reason for this, it's actually a psychological bias, because the way your brain recreates memories is it doesn't draw from it's not like when you look at your phone, you see a video camera memory of oh, when I was 8, I took a picture of me swearing at a camera and hoping that, future me would be like, look how cool I am. I could swear when I was 11 or something. I'm sure something like that exists. I found equally embarrassing things, like me being, you can see a lot of fun stuff. But anyway, go back into your past and see what you thought was cool, and you'd be like, man, that's not what I assumed. Because when you see a video compared to what you actually look at, because your brain is, what it's actually doing is it's recreating roughly what it thinks the memory is in your mind right now, kind of in real time. And that means that all your current biases affect them. If you don't think about it, and you're like, so what was life like, 5 years ago? You probably assume you have your phone. You don't think that you do, but if you're like, okay, so I'm gonna make a call to someone, oh yeah, you don't think what phone was I using 5 years ago? You just assume your current phone, for instance. And yeah, that kind of issue where we don't really consider current, future situations when thinking about them. It's kind of interesting. It's one of the biggest I would say not flaws, but interesting quirks, let's call it, in humanity as a whole, is in my opinion at least. I guess everyone can have their own one on this one, but one of the most interesting quirks I've always found is that lots of people go for a lot of partners in their life, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. But no one ever has the realization that, let's say you go for 10 on average. Some people go for a lot more than 10. Some people go for a lot less. Let's just say 10 is a nice average. 9 of those people aren't going to be forever boyfriends, girlfriends, partners, whatever. Statistically speaking, off a number that low, it's going to be significantly fewer than that, right? But yet, despite that, it's really hard to think in the future, oh yeah, well I'll have a proper long-term girlfriend. You'd be like, no, this is the one forever. And maybe that's a beauty of humans, despite all evidence, will still believe in love. Or maybe it's just actually that's quite stupid. We should probably know how things actually are as opposed to dreaming about how they might be. But it's just another interesting version of your brain getting events slightly wrong when it thinks about the future. Like, if you think about 5 years from now, you won't have your current phone. In fact, phones as a whole, again, I think we're overdue like another tech advancement. Maybe it's the folding phone thing, which is getting big with Samsung and that other vaguely unknown company. Maybe your phone will be embedded somewhere inside you. You know, there's all these weird ideas about what tech might be, but, you know, it's not going to be your current phone, or even just like a slightly different looking version of your current phone, probably statistically speaking. But when you think about your future, you think about that way. And this is where I think a lot of the weird biases come from, because think about the future is one of my favorite things to do. I think I mentioned before, like futurology, the study of the future, and even just like, you know, thinking about it in general is it's one of my favorite things. It's a good way to, because the best thing about futurology is it's interesting to think about now, like what will it be like in 50 years, but it's even more interesting to think about the past's version of the future. Fallout is just an alternate version of the future, but the future's roughly the present, but it was an alternate version of the past's version of the future. That sounds absurd, but it's like, yeah, because we used to think this is how all things would end up, and we were wrong, as it turns out. We're wrong about a lot of things eventually, and one of the many things we're wrong about is how the future would turn out. Side note, because there is likely an update coming out very soon for PlayStation 4, and you're watching this, you're like, you're not Soy Cat, you've spoken a lot about 2019, but what I really care about is some extreme bamboo pro tips. So if you have a lot of bamboo, or you have an automatic bamboo farm, which I recommend, by the way, you grab yourself a couple stacks of bamboo and put 2 away. You can actually use 2 bamboo to make a stick if you want to, which means, just like that, 64 sticks now. Now we can make 64 redstone torches. Didn't even need to use our wood, which is actually quite valuable. Look at that. That is the first time we've actually made some economies by using bamboo. I think we saved literally, what is it? You get 4 sticks for every 2 planks, so we saved around 8 blocks of wood. But still, 8 blocks of wood saved with only a detour all the way over here. I think that's a win in my book. But no, yeah, it's like wherever you can, try to use bamboo as sticks, because it's one of the few reliable uses for them. And you know, few reliable uses for something, it's important to use them. Also, it's raining. Should we just accept this? You know, it's raining. And that means that 2019 is worse than 2018. But no, yeah, my point here was like, you know, a lot of people have had bad years. I think, again, I mentioned before, I've had some of the worst years of my life, in even the last, like, like 5 or 6 years or whatever. But despite that, you always think about the future as like, it's always going to be this bad, this sad. But I mean, like, even you can know when you kind of extrapolate out, like, oh, well, I mean, of course, it's not going to be the case forever. It's hard to think about it that way because you can't think about the event that changes it. You know, we don't know what event will change, you know, smartphone technology, or what event will change your relationship forever, or whatever particular thing it is. You don't know what exact, let's walk over here, I guess. You don't know what exact, cause it's going to be. You don't know all of these different things. But yeah, it would be foolish not to expect that there'll be something, you know? It's like, okay, you know, right now, the most valuable company in the world, it goes back and forth between, like, Amazon and Apple. But, you know, when you look at those 2 large trillion-dollar companies or whatever, it's still like, you know, if you think about 20 years from now, the largest company probably won't be either one of those 2 things. But it seems like, in the moment, like, that's everything. And yeah, taking your current thoughts and assuming the future will be exactly like how you are imagining it right now, is, I think, one of the big biases people get wrong about the future. And if you want to be a futurologist, or I guess, I think the more practical version, because you can't be a futurologist in terms of, like, making money in any way, besides if you're really, really, really good, maybe, question mark. But, you know, I guess, like, investing, or I guess, like, even just making good guesses about, like, you know, how to run any particular thing in any particular business. But, yeah, I would say that, like, when it comes to the biggest, and should I have destroyed this stone? I probably shouldn't. Do I have a stone brick on me? I don't. Ah, odd. Oh, okay, we'll make some stone bricks, because it's kind of annoying me having these little gaps in the wall. So let's not have those gaps. Let's have it be made out of stone brick instead. Let's just make a huge thing, each side of it. Just make it kind of a clear-cut kind of thing. Also over there, just every place where we can put stone bricks and they make sense, we'll do that. In fact, yeah, we'll get rid of this dirt too, because I need me some dirt, and I have me some stone bricks. What a perfect trade. But yeah, so to go back to my thing though, like, whenever you predict the future, you forget things from the present, and that's interesting. And yeah, if you predict, but then the opposite happens, where, like, if you think about, like, how things are going right now, you're like, man, things sure are depressing. But when you just take a step back and you think, like, how will things be in 50 years? Like, pick any time, eventually you'll find a time frame where you're like, wow, yeah, we'll be doing really, really good. We'll have worked out, you know, like, how to, lower, emissions, battery technology will be up, like all these things. Everything's going to be like crazy good. And this is a brief reminder, like, remember that. Remember, despite all the scary things, that people are getting better and better at telling you, because, it's a continuous arms race, in my opinion, between, like, optimistic truths and pessimistic truths. But I would just say, remember that things are going quite well, and hopefully things will continue to go quite well. So we're going to go back now. Actually, this is a perfect place to start a little bit of, like, not quite terraforming, but just, like, unmess-upping, because it's a little bit of a mess, and I think just a few blocks here and there can probably help to fix that. And maybe if we make this tunnel a bit bigger, I think that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, I think a secret tunnel would be cool. I mean, it clearly shouldn't exist here, but let's make a secret tunnel regardless. I probably removed all of this at one point to make the thing exist, but that's fine. But yeah, oh, it is very dark here. One of the things I've been thinking about a lot this year is kind of just being like, okay, so what is there to when will some stuff change that I don't think will ever change? Like in my head, it's like, I would like to, travel forever. A lot of people see it's crazy the amount that I, take flights or the amount I do this or that. But it's one of my favorite things to do. But when will that change? Logically speaking, I won't be a 55-year-old man who's doing this. It's like, okay, so somewhere between here and there. Where about there? Will I be a 45-year-old man that's on a plane every 2 weeks in the year going somewhere different? I mean, maybe. Travel will get easier over time, not harder, right? That's a hard to deny fact. And yeah, I know it's just one of those quick things where it's like, that is an interesting thought. And maybe that tiny amount of thinking I've been doing helps you. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe this whole video, you're like, man, Toy Cat, this isn't going to help me. I just went through insert big traumatic experience here. And, telling me things are going to be good doesn't help right now because things aren't good right now. And if that's the case, then I apologize. So, with that said out of the way, let's probably remove a few of these blocks. Yeah, that's a good idea right there. Because having the ceiling be too low is a bit depressing. Whereas, at least having a bit of a curve through there. There we go. Look what a nice tunnel that is. Now we just kind of cave right into it, so it looks a bit more natural on all sides. Throw a few blocks on the top here. Just again, you wanna create a feeling of naturalness as you go along here, and then remove any of these tiny little gaps just around the place. Because these don't form naturally. They don't look natural, and they don't look very good either. So. Just remove all of these. There we go. Look how perfect the terraforming. Oh, this should probably be patched over too. Let's just patch over the entire thing by just making a little layer like this. Easy solve. And yeah, we want to do this. I want to do this slowly over the world. Not because I think it's important. Like people aren't buying this world. People aren't gonna buy this world, I should say, because it's gonna be like, oh, this is the best quality world on the marketplace for whatever. But it's more gonna be like a side note. I want this torch back. Because there's no point leaving a torch inside here, because for obvious reasons. But yeah, I don't think no one's buying this because they want like the best looking world. But I also think just to like make it a little bit more fun and presentable, it'd be a good idea just to do it. Like it's one of the things I want to do for myself eventually anyway. And if it helps some people enjoy the world for themselves, then I think it's my obligation to do so. The sense that the time that would have made most sense to release the map would have clearly been, just when it came out, or like. It would have made sense to release this in December, in the holiday month, where people are like, oh, let me get that as a Christmas present. But I would rather release something I'm proud of than release something fast. Which brings me, actually, to reverse myself back round and mention that, yeah, worst suggestions of 2018 is on the videos I'm looking forward to. I don't know why I'm using this as an opportunity to promote it. I think because it might be coming out later today. And also, there's an update out tomorrow. We've got like an exciting week up ahead on the Toy Cat channel. I'm excited about it. You could say the next week will be better than this week. Unless you had a really good week this week and that's going downhill, in which case, ignore me. Hope your week gets better. So, yeah, basically to kind of finish up the Let's Play, because one of the key segments I always do is what have I been up to in the past week. And in this past week, I went to Malta. Last trip of the year, actually. Kind of a big thing, at least for me, because how are these not grown? Like, it's been so many years, and they... whatever, let's not question it. But, yeah, to go back to my my previous thing, I'm hoping we can go to sleep now, by the way. If we can't, then I'll die. But, to just kind of cycle back round, at least a little bit on a previous thing, I just wanted to say, like, okay, so I've been really working back on the stuff. December's the month that, like, as a YouTuber, I'll be honest on the reason why. It's like, this is the, like, every view counts for like double basically in December. So if I'm gonna work myself, or work, work in air quotes if you don't believe in YouTubers work, but I'd rather do the time now as opposed to later on. And yeah, basically that's what I've been really busy up to. But I also decided to take a trip to Malta. Malta was really fun for a lot of reasons. It's like one of there's a lot of islands in the world I find hugely interesting. Malta was always up there, and it's cool to have actually visited one of the places I find so interesting. Enjoyed my time there a lot. Met Maltese subscriber. It's always a fun thing to do too, right? And just in general, because that's a thing. I probably shouldn't mention here, because but I will say that like what I do is like on the second channel, because especially as a lot of people who are like 18 plus who actually can physically meet, it's like, oh yeah, if you want to meet me, grab a drink in your favorite city. It's a thing I do from time to time. It's not your favorite city, your city, which might be my new favorite city. See, this is why I shouldn't mention it here, because I can't even say the words correctly. But yeah, basically it's a fun thing I like to do, and it was fun in Malta too. But yeah, to kind of round out with how I've been doing this week, really good. Yeah, sun again. We can now enjoy our lives. It's back to bliss and beauty. But yeah, I've been having a pretty good week in general. I honestly had a bit of a I don't know what day it was. I think it was Thursday. I recorded so much because I was helping some other YouTubers with some form of collab, and then it was like, I streamed, but like multiple hours. Like I think it was a 5-hour stream on Thursday, and then also, like all this stuff came out, and I was like, my god. So I actually had I had a 24-hour. For the first time in a very long time, I stayed up for 24 hours in a row. I know that, especially if you're, like, when you have, like, Christmas holidays or whatever, if you're young on the internet, it's really easy not to sleep. There's always things happening on the internet, so sleeping almost seems like a waste of time. So, I'm sure you've been through these phases before. And when I was 13, I did the same. Play games all night, etc., blah, blah, blah. But the reason I mention this is because I did it the first time in, like, months, I think. Like, I've slept very little before, and it honestly feels just about the same as sleeping not at all. But this was the first time that I was like, okay, we're sleeping nothing. I'm staying up all night, and then I'm heading to the airport in the morning. And, yeah, I micro-slept a whole bunch on the train, which was interesting. Like, micro-sleep is one of the craziest things, because until you realize what it is, you probably don't even realize you're doing it. Like, when you get really tired, your brain just shuts off for a few seconds. And you come back and you're like, whoa, I don't have any memory of the last few seconds, but I didn't go to sleep, probably, I don't think. And it's like, nah, you went to sleep, you just don't remember it, because that's you don't remember the things you don't remember. It's a key part of how your brain works. So yeah, that was, we got a little tunnel going down here. Ah, interesting. I have a little ice cave down here. Should I leave that visible? Just a little Easter egg if you do eventually pick up the map. Now you know there's a little cave down there. And there's something down here. I don't want to go in there because I feel like I'm trapped. But I'm also just too curious. Oh, it's an off branch from... Wait, why was this ever a thing? What was I doing here? Very strange. Okay, so I need to get air, and I need to get it now. So this is the oddest little find. I have no recollection, like... This must be from a Let's Play episode, but like, when? What? How? So let's break our way out of it, and then let's put it right back. And then let's also cover this one up right here. So that's it. Again, it's fun to find these things as we go around, but I also want to like patch them up just to make things look a little bit nicer, more presentable, more whatever else. It's like how you make your bed or whatever. But yeah, I stayed up for my first 24-hour night. Micro sleep is really bizarre, and it's been a while since it happened to me. Like I did it once on the tube a few years ago, and I was like, oh god, I don't remember those few stops that apparently passed in the half a second since I blinked. Okay, that's an odd one. It's a really bizarre phenomenon, but if you haven't experienced it, it's scary, but, I would say fun. It's actually, like, it's not fun to miss out time, but I honestly, if you have a long thing you're scared of, terrible, terrible advice. Please don't listen to this, but I think a good way to fix it is to be really tired. Like, I think, for instance, long days of school, one of the things that helped me forget some of them, because there were some long days, is when I was tired, I don't remember what happened at those school days, which is bad for learning. Don't get me wrong. If you want to learn, please ignore Dr. Toycat and his terrible advice. However, a little asterisk on the end here. If your primary concern is how awful the school would be, you're scared because of that, just go in crazy tired. Don't sleep the night before. And man, you're going to be remembering so little right there. And that's why, I guess, like, in some places, some schools, it's actually like a full-on, like, written complaint or whatever. Like, it's a problem when you don't sleep. You're not allowed to do that because then you know, they'll contact your parents and be like, hey, look, you know, we have teachers that teach things, but he's not learning things because he's ignoring them. So fix that up, Mrs. Parsons. I'm assuming your second name is Parsons now. I mean, like, it could be, so well, it's realistic enough. And then, yeah, so don't actually do it. But pro tip, if you want to get through an experience as fast as possible, mentally speaking, do that. Also, another pro tip. I think I mentioned this before, but like, I had a really, really bad moment in 2016. It was a bad breakup, I'll be honest. But like, I was on a plane back from Canada. I was in the worst seat on this plane. I didn't realize there were worse seats on planes until this plane, because it was at the back, so the seat didn't recline, but the one in front of you did. So it was like the minimum amount of, like, you know, leg room that can physically exist for a human being. Yeah, basically, you know, like, not even that I care about leg room, but like just space to sleep in. So I couldn't sleep the entire flight, especially like something jet lag too. And I was also trying to do like a bad breakup thing of like, you know, maybe there's a way to work things out, or, you know, like all that sort of stuff, because I was meeting her the next morning after this crazy jet lag session. And yeah, basically that was a flight where I was like, okay, this is going to be 8 hours. I think it was Toronto to the UK. It's 6, 7, 8 hours. I need to make this flight go fast. It's unpleasant for me. I won't focus on the unpleasantness. I'll just think blankly about the seat in front of me. There was no seatback entertainment, I don't think. Yeah, there wasn't. I think it was WestJet. They don't use it on international flights, which I think is an oddity. Even Norwegian has seatback entertainment. But like, my point here is like, okay, so you just gotta stare at that seat. You just gotta focus on nothing. And I think almost in like a mind over matter, like a will, you know, like a weird controlling yourself indirectly kind of thing. Somehow, that worked, and I have no memories of the flight. In my head, the flight was over instantly, despite the fact that clearly I was uncomfortable in an unpleasant situation. But you know, your brain can't think about that when it's busy thinking about other things. So, before we go today, because a lot of people are, I would say constantly asking, but that seems like a rude way to put it. But let's put it that way anyway. Constantly asking about my next big survival project, presumably because they want to see streams. Which, by the way, Streamless is back on, which is exciting, maybe, hopefully. I hope it's exciting for you. But one of my big projects that I'm slowly going to be working on, and that you'll, oh my god, and you'll see when it's finished, again, mostly off stream, maybe the placement I'll do a stream or something, again, we'll work out the fine details as we go along. But one of those big projects is to do with the desert, because what I've now set up, because you might know, I collected 55,000 blocks of sand, which I think is a lot, right? Like, 55,000 blocks of anything, even dirt or wood or stone, that's a lot. Actually, I think I do have 55,000 blocks of stone too, but 55,000 blocks of sand, a pretty valuable resource, and we're taking the blocks of sand, and then we're going to be smelting them. Except to smelt them, you know, let's just put them in there anyway. Except to smelt these blocks of sand, we have to put them in the furnace, and, oh, there's a skeleton attacking me from up there. Oh, yeah. How did you even get up there, skeleton? So yeah, what we have is a bunch of furnaces. You can see they're lit because the thing's going on here. And we're going to make some glass. And then when we're done with the buckets, you can probably imagine where this one's going. I found a big lava sea just below this world. And we're going to use that lava sea as... okay, so let's fly up, fly around, fly down. I've got a little hole down here. And I'm just going to fill up the buckets of lava and use them to smelt more sand. Because honestly, there are a lot of ways you can smelt a lot of stuff. Bamboo is one of them. But given the area in this world, I feel like lava draining is fun. And I don't know why, but like, if you're a survival player too, I know a lot of you watch this because it's like, yeah, someone else who plays survival the way I do. Like, it's a rare thing on YouTube to see any solo survival let's play. Apparently, it's a rare thing to see lights in this tunnel too. I'll use redstone torches just for, actually, I'll put a regular torch. But yeah, basically, I know it's a rare thing, so a lot of people like that. So here's a thing that I'm doing right now that's just, to me at least, really a fun idea. I'm just scooping up this big lava reserve bit by bit, and then using it to fuel the furnaces. And I think the entire lava pit will provide like half the fuel I need, so I'll have to find another one. Just something about that to me is kind of cool. That, like, every lava pit you find can be used as lava or something like that. Can be left there, can be turned into obsidian, or it can be one of the best fuels for your furnaces. And if you don't realize it can be all those things, then boy, do I have a lesson for you. But yeah, with that said, I think that brings me mostly to the end. I wanted to compliment Molten one more time on the fact they have cute cats everywhere. If you check my Instagram, actually it's probably Twitter, I think. If you check my Twitter account, you can see some of those cute cats. See, I'm telling you to go follow me on Twitter because That's where I tweet things and stuff in between videos, because, you know, a video is like a big pressure. Like, you're changing the algorithm's opinion off you. You're doing a lot of things. Whereas, you know, this is a whole different thing. So let's now take out some of that sand. And let's throw it in these furnaces. So I'll throw a 64 in that, 64 in that, and then so on and so forth. And then we'll take out all this stuff. And yeah, bit by bit, that's our plan here. Just like lava bucket, lava bucket, lava bucket, until we're good. So yeah, seems a bit absurd, but now you know what my plans are here, and you know that they're absurd plans. But it's okay to have absurd plans every now and then. You know, most plans are absurd to someone. It's just a matter of who. Maybe that was inspirational, maybe it wasn't. But yeah, you can get 100 blocks smelted per lava bucket if you do it correctly. It seems as though we haven't for now, but like that's a whole different issue. But yeah, with that said, I hope you did all enjoy today's video. You can like it if you did like it, share if you really liked it, subscribe if you're around here. Let me know what you think of the 30-minute Let's Play episodes, because I aim for 20, and then we always end up at 30. So if that's a good thing, let me know. If you're like, no Toy Cat, I have 20 minutes spare in my day, and I simply cannot watch the extra 10, let me know also. But before you do that, make sure to turn off your internet so your comment doesn't post. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye. Oh, I cleaned my room today, and that's nice. It's a lot more organized. I should mention, you know, cleaning your room. It's a good thing to do. Okay, no, that's everything. Oh, and I fixed my recording setup, and I'm like, this video, like for the last while or so, we've just had huge frame rate issues. And if you look at yesterday's PS4 video, there's just random cuts all over the gameplay. Like my recorder's been having issues. I think I fixed them now, so good news on that front. Assuming this video worked and didn't break, but let's assume it did. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all on next Monday, and or in Streammas, because every day we stream talking about even more ridiculous things than this. And yeah, goodbye.